what is going to happen here as we monitor these live pictures out of Beijing? Is this Germany looking to perhaps set the record straight after Macron's pretty controversial comments on Taiwan?
Well, shortly, what Baerbock is trying to do in this trip is to signal that the European Union is actually united. And therefore, we can expect to see a lot of support for the message that, for example, Ursula von der Leyen gave during her speech of March 30th. And we saw these already in the agenda points that have been published. One of these points is, of course, Ukraine. And from Chinese side, there's a clear attempt of detaching the Ukrainian war from whatever happens in the bilateral relationship between the European Union and China. So the fact that this point keeps being in the agenda of European leaders, and especially Baerbock's trip, this is clearly a clear signal of support for von der Leyen's trip and for European unity. And it was, as it was just mentioned as well in yesterday's press release, I think Baerbock very cleverly used the argument of the economic importance of Taiwan for the European Union and the economic importance of the Taiwan Straits for global economy, and therefore making Taiwan and a crisis in Taiwan a crisis of the European Union. So definitely, even though perhaps setting the record straight is not necessarily what she's trying to do, but she's trying to signal that within the European Union, one of the major heavyweights when it comes to shaping EU's foreign policy towards China is supporting what the European Commission president has been saying in her speech, and therefore is supporting what is more or less the new official strategy of the European Union towards China.
And make no mistake, the Germans do have issue with some elements of Chinese domestic and foreign policy. They have vowed to crack down on everything from human rights, for example, to business exposure in Europe as well. But at the same time, the Germans need China on side. They're looking to pressure the Chinese leadership, to pressure the Russian leadership to end this war in Ukraine. That's something they can't do by themselves. So how do they walk that fine line? And is there any prospect of the Germans being able to make progress when it comes to the war in Ukraine and getting China on side to pressure to Putin to do more?
I don't think there was ever any prospect of getting China to take any distance from Putin. Xi Jinping has been very clear over and over again, and his state visit further clarified the fact that China and Russia are close, at the very least, friends, if not allies. Therefore, I don't think there's any hope of any European leaders being able to have a breakthrough in that regard. What, however, makes these trips still meaningful when it comes to the Ukrainian war is the fact that at the very least, perhaps, there can be some statements in support of, a little bit of restraint when it comes to a potential nuclear escalation. And at the very least, keeping the channel of communication, the diplomatic channel of communication open with Beijing. But in terms of breakthrough, I don't think that any of the European leaders, not even Baerbock, have any chance of getting it.